The wind moved softly over the golden fields of Navara 7, a quiet farming planet far from Earth. Life here was simple. People grew food, fixed machines, and stayed out of trouble. But one girl, named Lyra, was not like the others. She was only 16, with calm eyes that looked like they were always watching the sky. While others laughed, worked, or rested, Lyra climbed the hills every evening, sat on the tallest rock, and spoke into the open air. She didn't shout, she whispered. No one knew what she said. Some thought she was talking to herself. Others said she was strange. A few even called her cursed. But Lyra didn't care. She felt something in the stars, something alive. She believed they were listening. One night, everything changed. Lyra was sitting on her usual rock, watching the twin moons rise. The sky sparkled with stars, brighter than usual. She felt something strange in her chest. Her fingers trembled. The words she spoke that night were different. They weren't her own. They came to her like a song already written. She whispered, "Can you hear me now?" At that exact moment, one of the stars blinked. Not twinkled. Blinked. Like a signal. Lyra sat still. The air around her felt electric. Her hair stood on end. The sky went silent. No wind, no sound. Just that one blinking star, as if it had heard her. She ran home that night, breathless and scared, but also excited. The next day, strange things began to happen. First, the old farm radio in her father's workshop turned on by itself. A voice came through, not in any known language, but full of melody and strange patterns. Her father turned pale. "What is this?" he asked. The radio cracked, then died. Later that evening, their home lights flickered, then pulsed in rhythm. The dog barked non-stop, facing the sky, and when Lyra touched her mother's garden light, it glowed blue instead of yellow. People began to notice. By the third day, government drones flew over the village. Scientists from the capital arrived. They said they were here to check for atmospheric changes. But really, they came for Lyra. They had detected something unusual, a repeating signal, from deep space coming in short and long bursts. It matched the pattern of her whisper from 2 nights ago. They brought her to an observation tower, tall and silver, far from the village. Inside, machines hummed and screens flickered. The lead scientist, Dr. Kell, was an old man with tired eyes and a quiet voice. He looked at Lyra and said, "We think they're answering you." Lyra's eyes widened. "Who?" He shook his head. "We don't know yet. But the signal is not random. It's intelligent." They showed her the recording. It was light from a distant star, blinking in patterns. They had translated it into sound. She listened carefully. It was faint, but inside the sound was a word. One single word. Over and over. Yes. That night Lyra stood on the tower's rooftop. She looked up. The same star blinked again, 3 times in a row. She whispered, "What do you want?" The star blinked once. She asked again, "Do you need help?" The star blinked twice. She didn't know why, but she understood. It wasn't just replying. It was learning her tone, her pauses, her way of speaking. Back in the lab, the machines picked up a new wave. The signal had changed. It now included Earth's old code. Binary, the universal language of machines. It read, "They are watching." Dr. Kell stared at the screen. Who's watching? No one had the answer, but Lyra felt something deep inside her bones. Whatever had answered her, it wasn't just one voice, it was many, and not all of them were friendly. The world didn't know it yet, but something ancient had been awakened, and it all started with one girl who spoke to the stars. The tower where Lyra stayed had become a fortress of silence. No media, no contact with outsiders, only the hum of machines, blinking screens, and the quiet tension in the air. Everyone knew something big was happening. They just didn't understand it yet. Dr. Kell sat with his team in the main control room. On the wall was the blinking pattern from the sky, light signals coming from a star system 9,000 light-years away. They weren't random. They were structured, like music with meaning, and that meaning was getting clearer. "We've broken part of it," said one of the scientists. "There's a warning in the signal. It keeps repeating two things." He pointed to the screen. The translation was simple. "We hear. We run." Lyra stood at the edge of the room, arms crossed, trying to make sense of it. "Run? From what?" she asked. That was the question no one could answer. Later that day, they gave Lyra a special suit that let them monitor her body, brain, and voice. Every time she spoke, even softly, energy levels spiked in the machines around her. Her voice somehow touched the same frequency as the incoming light. It was like her voice was a key, and the stars were a door. One evening, they asked her to speak again, this time through a transmitter connected to the central satellite dish. Lyra was nervous. Her mouth was dry, her hands cold, but she stepped forward and spoke clearly. "We are listening. Are you in danger?" The signal returned. Within minutes, not hours, not days, minutes. The star blinked again, this time with a faster rhythm, almost like panic. The machines beeped wildly, and the translation came in. "Yes, they follow sound. They follow hope." The room went quiet. "What does that mean?" whispered one of the assistants. Dr. Kell looked pale. "They're not just running. They're being hunted, and whatever is chasing them, it listens." The tension inside the tower turned cold. Suddenly, Lyra's voice didn't just open a door, it lit a beacon. A bright one. Were they calling for help? Or leading danger straight to Earth? Lyra couldn't sleep that night. She stood alone on the tower roof again, eyes fixed on the blinking star. She felt something strange, something she couldn't explain. It was like her chest was full of music, but not made by her. It came from somewhere else, somewhere deep. Suddenly, the blinking stopped. A new light appeared beside the original star. It was dim, but moving. Lyra stepped back. "That's not a star," she whispered. "That's a ship." The scientist confirmed it the next morning. A fast-moving object was approaching from the same direction as the signal, but it wasn't broadcasting light. It was dark, silent, hidden. Dr. Kell looked at the data, frowning. "Whatever it is, it's not answering. It's following the path of the signal." Lyra knew. Deep down, she knew. "They're chasing the message," she said softly. "And now, they're coming here." The military was informed. Satellites were moved. Warning systems were activated. But none of their weapons could target something so far away, and so silent. As the world argued over what to do, Lyra received a new message through the blinking star. This time the message was short, almost like a whisper. Hide your voice. They eat sound. It chilled her. The creatures, whatever they were, didn't see light. They didn't see life. They found their prey by sound. But not just any sound. Voices filled with meaning, with emotion, with hope. They fed on the feeling behind the voice, and Lyra's voice was full of all those things. She had become a lighthouse in a dark sea, and now something terrible was swimming toward it. Dr. Kell called for immediate silence. The satellite connection was shut down. Lyra was told to stop speaking into the sky, but it was too late. The hunters had heard her, and they were coming. The news leaked. Someone inside the tower had recorded the blinking messages and uploaded them to the black net. Within hours, every corner of Earth knew the truth. A voice from space had answered a human girl, and something dangerous was now heading toward them. People panicked. Some called Lyra a hero. Others said she had cursed them all. Across the cities, crowds gathered. Some lit candles and prayed. Others held signs saying, "Silence her voice." The world was no longer calm. It was on edge. At the tower, security tightened. Lyra wasn't allowed to speak into any microphone, not even whisper near a machine. She was watched day and night, but not everyone believed she was the problem. A group called the Listening Circle, made up of ex-scientists, tech rebels, and space dreamers, sent a secret message to Dr. Kell. Protect her. She's not the danger. She's the answer. But the government didn't agree. One evening, a transport ship landed outside the tower. General Reeve stepped out, a tall man with cold eyes and a strict voice. He had handled alien encounters before, but none like this. "She is to be taken to a secured base," he said to Dr. Kell. "We can't allow her voice to bring death to Earth." Dr. Kell protested. "You don't understand. She didn't call them. She was trying to help." But the general didn't listen. 2 guards walked toward Lyra. She didn't run. She didn't fight. She only looked at Dr. Kell and said, "If they hear fear, they will come faster." Those were her last words, before they locked her inside a silencing chamber. Thick walls, no tech, no contact. She sat alone in that room, day after day, thinking about the stars and the warning they gave her. Outside, chaos spread. Some cities turned off power grids to go silent. Others activated loud noise barriers, hoping to confuse the enemy. Religious groups began chanting nonstop, believing they could block the invaders with holy sound. No one agreed on what to do. The planet was divided. In the middle of this, the Listening Circle made a bold move. They hacked into the tower systems and opened Lyra's chamber. A stealth team in dark suits rushed in, lifted her quietly, and vanished into the night skies in a black ship with no ID. By the time General Reeve found out, Lyra was gone. Now she was in hiding, with people who believed in her. They took her to an abandoned base on Luna's dark side, where signals couldn't be tracked easily. There, in a quiet underground chamber, they gave her a device made of human tech and ancient alien parts, a voice amplifier built to speak not just through space, but across dimensions. One of the Circle members, a woman named Saya, explained, "These beings that answered you, they've known about humans for a long time. They've waited for someone who could connect through emotion. That's you, Lyra. But the hunters, the hollow ones, they follow that emotion. They don't want peace. They want silence. Forever." Lyra nodded. She now understood. Her voice wasn't a weapon. It was a bridge, a signal of life, and the Hollow Ones hated life. Meanwhile, back on Earth, General Reeve had set his own plan in motion. A powerful satellite cannon called Silent Strike was aimed at the part of space the dark object was last seen. "We'll destroy them before they arrive," he told the world. But Lyra knew better. "They don't come in ships," she whispered to Saya. "They come in shadows, in minds, in fear." The listening circle worked fast. They used secret channels to send out a new signal, not loud, not full of panic. A calm voice, Lyra's. She spoke with care, using words like warmth, light, and peace. It was not a call for help, but a message of strength. Somewhere in deep space, a distant being heard her. It was not one of the Hollow Ones. It was something older, wiser. Watching, they replied with one word. "We remember." Lyra smiled. Help was coming, but would it arrive before Earth fell into silence forever? The Earth held its breath. Every satellite, every telescope, every radar pointed toward the stars. Something was coming, fast, silent, unknown. The dark object was now close enough to be seen from orbit. But it wasn't just one ship. It was many, hundreds. And they didn't glow or shine like normal spacecraft. They absorbed light, like shadows, with shape. Everyone believed the Hollow Ones had arrived. But just as Earth prepared for the worst, a new light appeared behind the dark fleet. A powerful, golden beam spread across space like a sunrise. It wasn't an attack. It was a signal. From within the light came a ship of incredible design, smooth and glowing like flowing glass, shaped like a bird with wings made of energy. It didn't fly through space. It danced, bending around stars and sliding through gravity. Shakti, listening circle, still hiding with Lyra on the dark side of the moon, watched in silence. Saya turned to Lyra. "They've come," she whispered. Lyra felt a strange warmth inside her chest. Like the sun rising through her veins, the glowing ship stopped between Earth and the shadow fleet. Then, without sound, it projected a message, not through voice, not through sound, but through feeling. Every human on Earth felt it, in their dreams, in their hearts. The message was clear. "We are not your enemy. We were once saved by you. Now we return the gift." The ancients had arrived. Long ago, before Earth even had cities, their kind had traveled the stars. But they had faced the Hollow Ones too. Back then, a group of humans, strong, brave, and wise, had hidden the ancients and helped them survive. Now, the ancients came to repay that act of kindness. On Earth, many people cried, some knelt, some laughed. It was the first moment of hope the world had felt in weeks, but not everyone was happy. General Reeve did not trust the glowing ship. "How? Do we know this is not another trap?" he shouted in a broadcast. "We will defend our planet, no matter who stands in the way." He ordered the Silent Strike cannon to remain ready. Meanwhile, Lyra was invited aboard the ancient ship. With Saya and 2 circle members, she entered a small pod. The pod floated up to the ship like a leaf drifting into the sun. Inside, everything glowed softly. Walls shimmered with moving light. The air smelled like fresh rain. Then she saw them. The ancients were tall, thin as branches, with skin like moonlight and eyes deep as the sea. They didn't speak with mouths. They spoke with energy. Their presence was calm, gentle, full of old sorrow and old strength. One of them touched Lyra's forehead. In that instant, she saw visions. A ruined world. Hollow ones consuming entire cities of light and a single human hand reaching out to help. It was a memory, their memory. The day humanity became their savior. The Ancient pulled back. Lyra understood now why they answered her, why her voice mattered. You carry the same spark, the being said, without speaking. Your voice connects worlds. Back. On Earth, the Hollow Ones finally made their move. Their dark ships moved fast, heading straight for Earth's atmosphere. But instead of attacking with weapons, they released waves of silence, spheres of soundlessness that swallowed noise, radio signals, and light. Cities went dark. People screamed, but no sound came out. It was fear made real. The Ancients responded. Quickly, their ship spread a golden shield around Earth, blocking the silent spheres. But the Hollow Ones were too many. We can't win this alone, Saya said. Lyra stepped forward. I will speak, she said calmly. Not to fight, but to remind them, we are not afraid. The Ancients connected her voice to their ship. Her words, filled with human courage and feeling, spread like light through the stars. She spoke not in power, but in peace. We are not shadows. We are not echoes. We are light, and we remember. The message hit the Hollow Ones like fire in darkness. For the first time, they stopped. Their shadows flickered. They had been met with something they didn't understand. Human will. The battle was just beginning. But now Earth had a voice, and it would not go silent again. The sky above Earth was no longer calm. It flickered with strange clouds, clouds that didn't move with wind, but floated with purpose. These weren't storms. These were pieces of the Hollow Ones. Their arrival had changed the rules. These beings didn't fire weapons or drop bombs. They didn't speak. They didn't scream. They simply removed sound. Wherever they passed, silence followed. Deep, total silence. Like the world had been switched off. In one part of the planet, a whole city stood still. Cars froze. Phones went blank. People opened their mouths, but no words came out. No birds. No machines. Not even the wind dared to move. Earth had never faced a threat like this. From the ancient ship above the planet, Lyra watched everything unfold. The Ancients were trying to stop the spread of silence using light shields, but the Hollow Ones kept slipping through. They didn't move like ships. They moved like shadows through thought. Fast, invisible, deadly. Inside the control room of the ship, Saya stood with Lyra and the lead Ancient. A glowing screen showed the shape of Earth, slowly darkening from the edges inward. We have days, Saya whispered. Maybe less. Lyra clenched her fists. There has to be something we can do. The Ancient nodded slowly. There is something, but it comes at a price. He walked to the center of the room. A circular panel opened, revealing a strange device, half metal, half crystal, pulsing with soft blue light. This, he said, is a resonance core. It amplifies pure voice, soul voice. It can push back the Hollow Ones. Lyra stepped forward. Then let's use it, but the Ancient shook his head. It can only be activated by someone the Hollow Ones fear, someone with a voice that still carries hope. Everyone in the room turned to Lyra. Her throat felt dry. They fear me? They fear what you represent, the Ancient replied. You are light in their endless night. Dr. Kell's face appeared on the screen from the moon base. Lyra, it's your choice. We won't force you. But if you say yes, there's no turning back. Lyra looked at the dark earth below, her home, her people. Her voice had started this, but maybe it could finish it too. I'll do it, she said. The ship prepared quickly. A chamber was built at the ship's core. It was not a weapon station. It was a singing room, a space built to echo emotion through the stars. Lyra was fitted with a suit that glowed like starlight. Wires and crystals connected to her spine, her chest, her throat. But it wasn't painful. It felt like the ship itself was listening. As she stepped into the chamber, she saw something appear on the screens. The hollow ones were moving again. Faster, closer, angrier. They had sensed her choice. "They're coming to stop me," she said softly. Saya placed her hand on the glass. "Then speak before they arrive." The chamber closed. Lyra stood in the center, heart racing. She closed her eyes. No microphone, no script, just her thoughts. She began to speak, not loudly, but clearly. "I am Lyra, a girl from a small planet with open skies. I have no army. I have no fire. But I have my voice, and it is not afraid of silence." The resonance core glowed brighter. The ship hummed. The ancients bowed their heads. Lyra continued, her voice rising. "We remember. We love. We lose. And yet, we speak. We dream. We sing. That is what makes us strong." Then she did something unexpected. She sang. A simple tune her mother once sang to her under the stars. A melody full of longing and hope. The sound shot through space. The dark clouds around Earth shivered. The hollow ones paused. For the first time, they felt something that didn't belong to them. Light wrapped in sorrow, wrapped in strength. The silence they carried began to crack. All around Earth, sound returned. A dog barked. A child laughed. A wind chime moved. On the ancient ship, alarms rang. But not warnings, celebrations. The hollow ones were retreating, broken by something they couldn't consume. Lyra's voice, the girl who spoke to the stars, was now defending her world with sound. But the fight wasn't over yet. One last shadow had not turned back, and it was heading straight for her. The last hollow one was different. It didn't flee like the others. It didn't shiver under Lyra's song. It grew larger, darker, and more solid with each note she sang. It wasn't just listening. It was learning. On the screens inside the ancient ship, the shadow took the shape of a giant, tall as a mountain, wide as a city. It floated just outside Earth's atmosphere, but its presence reached down like cold fingers pressing on every human heart. Lyra stood inside the resonance chamber, her body still glowing from the energy of her voice. But now she felt weak, like her soul had been pulled thin. Her legs shook, her voice cracked. "It's feeding on me," she whispered. The ancient leader appeared on the glass outside her chamber. "This one is not like the others. It is their Echo Leader. The first, the strongest." Dr. Kell's voice came through the ship's comms. "Then we stop it here, now, before it reaches Earth." Lyra nodded, though her body wanted to collapse. The chamber lit up again. The resonance core hummed louder. Wires tightened across her arms. Her pulse synced with the ship, but this time she didn't sing softly. She screamed, not in fear, but in defiance. A sound of memory and loss. A sound of all she had seen, of cities swallowed in silence, of voices forgotten, of stars once dimmed but now shining again. The light from her chest burst into space. The shadow giant paused. It twisted in the air, pulling itself closer to the ship. Its face had no eyes, no mouth, but still it looked at her. It opened wide, and from within came something terrible. Her own voice, twisted, empty, replayed like a broken record. "I am Lyra. I am Lyra. I am—" It tried to turn her power against her. Inside the chamber, Lyra fell to her knees. Tears ran down her face. "It's copying me, stealing my voice!" Saya cried out from outside. "Lyra, don't let it! Speak something!" "It can't repeat," Lyra gasped, her lips dry. "Like what?" "Something only you can feel." And then she knew. She stood back up, eyes closed. She didn't speak this time. She whispered, soft, real, honest. "I miss my father. He died before I knew what stars were. My mother worked 3 jobs to feed me. She used to sing me to sleep, even when she was too tired to stand." The resonance core pulsed brighter. "I never wanted to be special. I just wanted to be heard." The sound passed through the stars. Not sharp, not perfect, but true. And that was the one thing the Hollow Ones could never copy. Truth wrapped in love. The shadow giant began to twist violently, its form losing shape. The stolen voice faded. Its surface cracked like glass, hit by light. It screamed, but no one heard it, because it had no voice of its own. Lyra raised her hands and sang again, not with power, but with peace. The song was simple, one she had made up as a child. The ancients joined her with waves of glowing light. Earth itself seemed to hum. The sky turned golden. The giant collapsed into dust, tiny black pieces scattering like ash across the stars. Silence was gone. Sound had won. Inside the chamber, Lyra dropped to the ground, exhausted. Her suit dimmed. The room returned to stillness. Saya rushed in, holding her. "You did it." Lyra smiled weakly. "No, we did." Outside, Earth returned to life. Cities cheered. Bells rang. Children laughed. People called each other, sang, danced, shouted. The world was loud again. The Hollow Ones were gone, all because one girl refused to be silent. But the stars still blinked in the distance. New messages were coming. New voices wanted to be heard, and Lyra was ready to listen. Peace had returned. The Hollow Ones were gone, their silence scattered across space like dust. Earth was no longer under their shadow. Cities lit up again. Music returned to the streets, and people's voices filled the air with life. But for Lyra, things had changed forever. She sat quietly on the edge of the ancient ship, watching Earth below. The stars blinked above her, not with warnings this time, but with warmth. The ancients moved around her in silence, respectful and kind. They knew what she had done. They knew she was now more than just a girl from a small farming colony. She was the voice that had saved a world. But inside, Lyra felt tired, not just in her body, but in her soul. Her voice had carried pain, love, memory, and strength. Now it was quiet. Saya found her sitting there, legs crossed, hands resting on her lap. "Thinking?" she asked gently. Lyra gave a small smile. "Just listening?" "To what?" Lyra pointed upward. "The stars." Saya sat beside her. "Do they speak back?" Lyra nodded. "Not in words, but in feeling." There was a pause. Then Lyra turned. What happens now? Saya took a deep breath. The ancients will leave soon. Their work here is done. Earth will rebuild. And you, well, you have a choice. Lyra looked surprised. What choice? To stay, or to go with them. The question hit her like a wave. She had never thought of leaving Earth. It was her home. But it had also been the place where no one had listened. No one had believed. Not until the stars answered. Where would I go? To the places where voices still hide, Saya said. Where silence still holds people down. Where your voice can light the way. Lyra looked up again. The stars seemed endless. Open. Waiting. That night, the ancients prepared a farewell. A beam of golden light rose from their ship, sending one final message across the galaxy. It wasn't a warning. It wasn't a call for help. It was a song. One, created from Lyra's voice, but filled with the hope of every human heart. It would travel forever, a melody wrapped in courage, love, and peace. On Earth, people gathered to watch. In parks, on rooftops, in fields and cities, they stared up at the sky. Even those who had once feared Lyra now whispered her name with respect. A child held her mother's hand and asked, "Will we ever hear her again?" The mother smiled softly. She's part of the stars now. As the ancient ship began to rise, Lyra stood at the window. She saw her planet below, blue and green, noisy and bright. She saw the places she had never visited, the people she had never met, and still, she felt close to them all. She touched the glass. "Don't stop speaking," she whispered. Then, in a slow, beautiful motion, the ship bent space and disappeared beyond the stars. Months passed, then years. Earth changed. New technologies were born. Music was used not just for art, but for healing, for defense, for connection. People remembered what had happened. Schools taught about the Hollow Ones, about the girl who had saved them, not with guns, not with power, but with her voice. One night, a group of stargazers saw something strange. A new light had appeared in the sky, faint at first, then brighter each night. But it didn't move like a star. It pulsed, in rhythm, a soft, steady pattern. Blink. Pause. Blink, blink, pause, blink. Someone ran the code. It read, "We hear you." Across the galaxy in a quiet room on a silver ship, Lyra smiled. She stood in front of a small girl with glowing eyes, an alien child from a distant world, lost and afraid. Lyra knelt down, took the girl's hand, and spoke in a soft, calm voice. "Tell me your story." The girl hesitated, then began to speak, and the stars listened again. Because Lyra's journey was not over, it had only just begun.